So every time I think of Venom, I think of the song by Eminem from the first Venom, but I always wonder, does anyone actually know the words to that song? What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm talking about Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the sequel to the original Venom film. This movie is directed by Andy Serkis, and Tom Hardy returns as Eddie Brock / Venom, but this time we've got Woody Harrelson playing Carnage, the big bad villain of the Venom universe, if you will. But does this movie live up to some of the early hype? Is it worth a watch? I'm going to talk about that right now. Before I do that, definitely hit the like button, comment your thoughts on the movie down below, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future Marvel reviews, movie reviews, breakdowns, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was not a fan of the first Venom movie. In fact, I watched it for the first time towards the beginning of this year. So going into this, I had literally no expectation. So it was like, how could I be disappointed? So it doesn't hurt me to say that I thought this was a pretty bad to mad movie. The main flaw with this movie is the fact that it's an hour and a half. It is an hour and a half for an epic sequel to a comic book movie that made $1 billion. So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure in that sense, because the first 10 minutes of the movie feel extremely rushed as you're trying to set up a villain and then this other side character, and then there's this other character who's in the mix that might come and show up later, and you're throwing all these things at the wall so quickly. It reminded me a lot of Iron Man 2 when Ivan Vanko is introduced at the beginning, and then you're jumping around to Justin Hammer, and then Stark's got his own personal things going on. It really did kind of mirror Iron Man 2 when it comes to the rushed, messy nature of a lot of the plot. In fact, I'm a fan of Woody Harrelson, and I think he's probably having a lot of fun in this role, but when it comes down to it, his character is just so freaking rushed. There's not enough time for the audience to really see him as a compelling villain. He's already a villain by nature, but when they try and make him into the character of Carnage, that's where it just doesn't really work for me. A lot of early on sequences in this movie are just montaged through quickly, and that upset me because I think they could have really taken their time with that and gotten us to connect more emotionally with the characters. Now, visually, this movie is stunning. I think Carnage looks great, as well as Venom. Whoever's doing the visual effects for this movie, hats off to you, because I think that it really is effective. But I would have liked to see more of these visual effects at work because the action sequences are truly lacking here. A movie called Venom, Let There Be Carnage, where you set up Venom and Carnage to fight in the trailers, should have more action, and unfortunately, this movie's just a little lackluster by nature, and it kind of caught me dozing off at times. I hate to say it, but I was doing that head bob thing you do where you get tired at night and you're trying to stay awake, like, my eyes were closing on me a few times because there was nothing happening on screen worthwhile. The action sequences are very limited, and when they do happen, they're cool. I was engaged in them. They're the highlight of the movie. But with an hour and a half movie, you would think it would be action-packed from start to finish, and that's not the case here, unfortunately. There's a lot of just dead time in this movie where you see Eddie Brock kind of moping around. The main conflict, in my opinion, I'm not going to say because it could be a spoiler, it's just very anticlimactic. Like, it's not even dealing with Carnage. It's just almost childish and like a waste of time. Now, I will say the highlight of this movie that carries it and kind of plays into that conflict is the relationship between Eddie and Venom. I think they up the ante here, and it's a lot more significant than in the first movie. It's more compelling. You can definitely tell they are literally living together, and they kind of feel for each other more. There's more of an emotional connection between Eddie and Venom, and that is something that absolutely carries this movie. They're entertaining to see their interactions on screen, and whenever they are not in a scene, you can definitely tell because they just carry the weight of this movie. Michelle Williams' character returns in this movie, as well as her boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, and they've always just kind of felt unnecessary to the Venom plot line, in my opinion. Like, it's just a very strange romantic relationship in the first Venom movie, and then in this, they're kind of there, and it's kind of like this comedic filler almost, that some of the jokes with them land, but the other times they're just plot devices. So maybe Carnage can have like an upper hand on Venom mentally, but really it doesn't really play out that way, and a lot of this movie can come off as cheesy and cringe. There's one line where I went, oh, did they really just do that? Did they put that in the movie? Like, I was cringing, and I know a lot of people like the humor that these movies provide, but wow. I will say that the standout besides the relationship between Eddie and Venom is probably the Carnage versus Venom fight. You guys knew it was coming. We saw it in the trailer. It's pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie, and visually it was stunning, but it just happened so abruptly. It's almost like when the credits began to roll on this movie, it felt like I had watched like a 50-minute episode of TV. Almost like how you watch a Breaking Bad episode or Game of Thrones, and it's literally done in less than an hour. Like, the movie's an hour and a half, and you're bringing in 2 new characters in the very beginning of the movie who aren't even coming back for a little bit of time, and then you're trying to build up Eddie and Venom's relationship, and then Eddie's past relationship with Michelle Williams' character. And then you throw in all this stuff. It just gets really messy, a lot like Iron Man 2, unfortunately, and that took me out of the movie, and it became a bore at times. It almost became exhausting to try and keep up with all the different side stories they were trying to sew together to make a final product of a movie, and I could really tell that Andy Serkis' direction was lacking here. I'm not sure if he even has a clear directorial presence, because there's no like significant directorial flair where you're like, oh my gosh, that's Andy Serkis right there. Even from like a shot perspective or just like the way the movie plays out, it feels almost a carbon copy of the first when it comes to the directorial style and the way that it's presented. But I kind of am thinking of like the Twilight sequels, how they all felt like they were the same director. If that's what they're going for, then cool, but I think it's also nice to bring in a flair with a sequel and kind of up the stakes or up the ante creatively and from a storytelling perspective, and that wasn't the case here. But before I give you guys my rating, I want to say this right now. Venom Let There Be Carnage has a post-credit scene, and you should probably watch it. And that's all I'm going to say. The movie has some fun action sequences for sure, and it can be epic at times, but most of the time it's just a shell of what it could be, and it just had so much potential but fell flat because it's such a carbon copy directorially of that first movie. But Eddie and Venom's relationship is the heart and soul of this thing. That's the best part of the movie, and the post-credits scene is worthwhile. I'm going to give Venom Let There Be Carnage a 2 out of 5 stars, or like a 40%, I would say. A little less than 50% just because the movie does drag at times for an hour-and-a-half runtime. I was literally starting to doze off, and if you guys like the first movie, you'll probably like this one. I wasn't a fan of it, so it wasn't really my cup of tea. But that's pretty much all I have to say about Venom Let There Be Carnage. Definitely hit that like button. Comment your thoughts on the movie down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think it's better or worse than the first Venom? That is the main question I want you guys to comment down below. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future Marvel reviews, movie reviews, TV reviews, watch parties, all that good stuff. It's all coming very soon. I should have a video a day in the month of October, and I've been posting a lot on my TikTok, which is Filmstocked. All that is going to be linked down below in my social medias. Make sure to check all those out. But you guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. Until next time. I'll see you guys later.